From the heart of Maine, this is the DuView podcast.
All right, and welcome to this week's episode of the DuView podcast. I am your host, Du, a.k.a. Ryan Dumont, and this week I am joined by my Italian brother from another mother, Mr. Riccardo Cavadini. Riccardo, thank you for coming on.
Hello, everybody.
Thank
you for having me over.
Of course. Thank you for coming over. And so if you couldn't tell by either his name or his accent, Riccardo is a native Italian, born and raised in Italy, which we'll unpack in just a minute. But you're probably wondering, how is this kid from Maine and this guy from Italy know each other? Well, there's a great story to that. We've been friends now for about 10 or so years, plus or minus a couple years.
First time we met, it was 2012.
Yeah.
So, 10 years.
Yeah, so like I said, about 10 years ago, and Riccardo was actually an exchange student over at good old Coney High School, and came in. We were teammates together quickly on the soccer team, and you gave a fantastic. We were at a do or die moment in the season, and I'm going to tell this story, buddy. Yeah. But the Riccardo gave this, and his English. He worked on his English. It was very broken when he first came over, but he gave this very impassioned speech about how the team members are a part of a car, and it became known as the car speech. And so for the rest of the year on out, and even after you had left, people were going to be like, continue to talk about Riccardo in the car speech, because it was awesome. I mean, like, we needed that in that moment, and we didn't go on to the playoffs or to win, but we had a good time doing it, and I made a great friend.
Yeah.
And
it was so much fun.
Yeah. And I mean, you weren't even like you were a basketball player, right?
I was a basketball player for 10 years in Italy.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't make the team here because the varsity team was full, I believe.
Okay.
Or something. I went to try for the basketball team, but they didn't take me because they would have made me play for the junior varsity team.
The JV. Yeah.
But I decided.
You ended up doing indoor track instead, right?
I did.
Yeah, and that's fast forward another couple months from the winter of that year, and we're at track season, and so this is kind of where Riccardo and I got pretty close, was during track, and so his host family was going away on vacation or something, and
the
rules stipulated that you couldn't miss that many days of school or something, and so you came to practice one day and you're like, hey, I need a place to stay, basically. And so it was just me and Dad here, and so I said, Dad, how do you feel about having an Italian under the roof? And he goes, oh, that's awesome, yeah, by all means. And so it was kind of cool. At the same time you had stayed with us, I had just gotten back from my first trip to Italy in France at the time, and so I brought back some pasta made straight from the motherland. And another great story.
We had a pasta party.
It was fantastic. And I remember my dad going, hey, Riccardo, can you read the instructions on this? And he goes, well, if you look just below the Italian in a smaller print, it does say the same thing in English already, but I can translate. We had a good chuckle about that. But, and that's where it kind of took off, buddy. You stayed with us, and we were happy to have you. Happy to have you anytime, frankly.
You are so nice.
Hey, I try. Like I said, you're my Italian brother, like I said.
And I remember I had told you that I liked root beer.
Yes.
And so before I came, your dad went to buy me some.
Yeah. We tried to accommodate,
Yeah, that was incredible.
I mean, and that's just kind of how me and my dad are, it's just like if you're gonna be a guest, or regardless if you're from afar or from across the street, we're gonna make sure you feel accommodated, And I mean the same thing, fast forward another couple of years from when you stayed with us, I went back to Italy for another trip with the Latin club, which I never actually took Latin, but we'll ignore that part.
Yeah.
But and I met you in Rome,
I came to meet you, just to meet you. Yeah. I came to Rome. I took like 3 days off.
And that was incredible to walk around, with someone who spoke the language and could just quip at somebody going down the street, like fire back at them or whatever it was. And, you joined us for dinner, and I think we sat out and talked in the courtyard at my hotel for just hours and hours, because it had been, let's see, 2 or 3 years since we had seen each other. And so it's just been this constant ongoing, back and forth of, talking here and there and whatever.
As soon as we get the chance to meet with
you.
Oh,
yeah. Of course. Like, if we're in the same geographic, like if we're on the same touching like land, you know what I'm saying? There's no ocean in between. We're gonna meet up. We're gonna meet up. So I'm actually gonna be back in Europe in a next year at some point, and I'll keep you posted on that.
Be there by
then. Well, and so anyway, like I said, Riccardo came to America in 2012, 2013 for the year, and was at Coney High School, and that's really how we met, and like I said, playing soccer. And so when you first, if you can remember back, buddy, what was like the biggest change for you coming to America?
Well, actually, many things,
right.
Of course. Besides school, because of course school here is much different than school back in Italy. Like, for example, here I was considered a senior as I was in my 12th grade.
Yep.
Back in Italy, when I went back to Italy, I actually had to take another year.
Okay.
13th.
Yeah.
So being a senior here was actually correct, because I was in my 12th grade, but in Italy we have 1 more year of high school.
Oh, so you got 5 years of high school, basically.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, I actually have 2 diplomas, 2 high school diplomas.
Yeah.
And nobody cares about that.
I think, that's pretty unique. I mean, at least for good old US of A, we don't have a lot of folks walking around with 2 diplomas, man.
Yeah.
You get one, and that's it.
Then, well, actually, even having sports at school, that's a very big difference.
Yep.
In Italy, we don't play sports.
Yeah. Through school.
Through school. Yeah. We have private teams. Like, for example, soccer. I had played soccer back in Italy, and I still play it to these days sometimes.
Yeah.
But just with friends, or at some point I had a team, but there wasn't a professional team. It was just with some friends.
Right.
I never.
Yeah, but it's very much like like I coach with Marcio. You met Marcio when you were here, and he talked about him playing down in Brazil and how the clubs, and I'm sure it's the same way in Europe. Like your clubs,
exactly.
run things. They have academy, and if you're really good, eventually you'll go through the club, and that whole experience. And so I'm sure that is quite different in the sense that like here in Coney. Get out of school at 2:30, whatever it is, and you go right over to the sports field, or right over to the pool, or right over to the rink, or whatever.
Yeah, and plus you get to play with the same people that you study with,
right,
and that you see all day, so they become very good friends.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And I think that also builds a very good sense of community.
Mm-hmm.
Even growing up, always seeing the same people, pretty much.
Yeah.
Between sports and between, I don't know, summer camps maybe, or school and all that, and you build very good relationships with each other.
Yeah, of course.
But talking about relations, something that I found very different here was the concept of public display of affection.
Okay.
That's something that I had never heard of.
Yeah, PDA. Yeah. Yep.
And I heard about that for the first time when I came here.
Yeah.
And it was like, what's that? Why would people not be allowed to kiss in the hallway at school?
Right.
Or
right.
to be
because that's a normal
hugging.
Greeting for you guys, right?
No.
No, I mean for some European folks, I mean France, you think people kiss each on the cheek,
if
or
you have,
right,
if you're in the same class as your girlfriend, I mean
between
classes you can just hold hands and hug or kiss or something, especially if you're a teenager. Maybe in college that doesn't happen, or I don't know, when you grow up you don't really need to display your affection, but
but that's
something that I felt very different, and that's why I wrote it down here.
Yeah. Well, I think
I needed to say that.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I
just
caught
think
my
of
attention.
even advertising in Europe versus here, sexuality and stuff. You guys are much more, I feel, free in that aspect.
Over the last few days, few years actually, that kind of changed because people are starting to like feel offended, but
Yeah,
that's a
right,
completely different topic.
Right, but I always when I think of like France and Italy to an extent, like much more like very romantic and like
that's the thing. I agree. Yeah, in fact, I feel like we're kind of more open on that side than you are, or like our society is I would say more based on that, but not. It's not like it's based. It's actually based on it. It's just
more open.
It's just more open.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's definitely a unique thing to experience, and to also feel like how and that's why I love going to other places too and seeing how, because like guys, I don't think we always do everything the best. I'm not one of those people that here in America we do everything the best, buddy. No one else does anything better. No. We do a fair share of bad stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, but that being said, though, it's really cool to be able to go somewhere else and appreciate like different perspective.
Perspective,
and that must have been
life.
huge for you.
And
here.
Like the most different thing that I experienced was social life.
Okay.
Back in Italy, teenagers like hang out downtown, like they walk together, and then on Saturdays maybe they go party, they go to the disco or something.
Yeah, they go clubbing or like
they're clubbing, and not necessarily like doing like drinking or
but
anything.
just like going out dancing, socializing, like that type of
socializing, like staying all together and like be together. It's kind of romantic. Like I would say, I don't really know how to explain it, but it's more like it keeps
there's
people
more unity.
together.
There's more camaraderie, right? Like I agree with you 125%. Most definitely.
When I came here, I was like, okay, what do you do on Friday nights?
We go to the football game.
We go to the football game. And then what? Oh, well, sometimes we kind of have a party. And that's no secret to anybody.
It's high school. I mean, right? And also too, like having those. I mean, difference in like where where you're from, and having like, I think that a lot of like these big, Maine being more rural and Augusta being more rural too, played into that. Like if you've been downtown now, it's probably even worlds different from when you were here last time.
Well, I actually went. Like the other night, I was in Hallowell. And I found that to be a lot different than I remembered.
Right. And that's kind of what I was driving at, is that we don't quite have that same camaraderie. We're much more individualistic here in the sense that like I kind of do my own thing. I'm independent. I love being. I very much more gravitate towards that. Let's stay with our big group, and like that's how I always try to like sway things, even like with my friends here. Like let's stay with the big group. It's more fun. Frankly, anyway, and it's just like, and just even like the times tables, just like time we eat dinner is a lot different than over there. Like, going for.
Okay, so it's 6:30, about 6:30.
Yeah,
and I just went to dinner with my host parents. Now, like I just came back, and the funny thing is, so we were like we said that we were gonna meet at 6.
Yeah.
Okay, so this morning they were like, "Oh, we're going out to dinner tonight." And they said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't come with you because I have something going on at 6." And they were like, "Okay, well, I'm sorry." At 4:30, they said, "Hey, we're going out to dinner. We're so sorry you can't come." And I'm like, "It's 4:30. Is it dinner time? What?" Okay, I can come.
Even here, that's what we like to call the early bird special.
Well, yeah, sure, but in Italy, even the early birds, they wouldn't.
There wouldn't be any early birds,
to go out for dinner at 4:30. So, well,
What's normal dinner time? Like 7 o'clock? It's later,
well,
right?
it depends on which part of Italy
you're
in, but on average, I would say 7.
7,
something.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're in Milan, where people work longer, I would say at night. Dinner time can be anywhere between like 7 and like midnight.
Wow.
Probably, yeah.
When do you guys? When do folks start work in the morning though?
Well, again, it depends.
Right.
But,
just real general.
Yeah.
Real general.
I would say between 8 and 10.
Okay. Wow. That's actually quite a bit different though. I mean, like to put in like my stuff for perspective. I mean, I'm an electrician, and so I'd be like one of your trades, your trades guys. I mean, you guys obviously have the electricity in Europe is fascinating. How you guys do, and I've just been learning this as I've been doing more with like American electricity. I've been like looking at like how they wire up like houses. It's so different.
That's so different.
It's so different. Like, even just the outlets and receptacles are so different. You guys are running 240 all the time or something,
220.
or 220, excuse
220,
me, 220. Yeah, you guys are running 220 all the time, or we're running 120, which is just really, it's really crazy. But anyway, that aside, we start work, most days, like we're at the shop at 7:30.
Yeah.
Get out at about anywhere from 4:30 to 5:30, depending on the day, averagely. So it's a little different. Our timetables are adjusted. I mean, but I know I can think of a lot of folks like that are like either my grandparents' age or a little bit older. Even sometimes dad to an extent. Sorry, pops. But like 4:30 is like maybe they start cooking. And dinner's ready by like 5 o'clock because like we're in like when you're starting like. Say those folks in like Milan that work the later hours are like, starting dinner at 8, like I'm getting ready for bed.
Yeah, right. Because you get up,
because we get up, and so that's the pace of society is quite different.
Yeah.
Like
I would say that. Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like you guys are a little bit not, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but more like loosey goosey, like. Just kind of roll in when you want. Not like I know it's not that bad.
Well,
but like,
actually,
is it?
it depends on the job. Of
Right,
course,
right.
it depends on
Right.
it depends on many factors. But I would say the same. Pretty much.
Yeah, they kind of like.
I mean, if you're supposed to be there at 9, and you get there at 9:10.
Okay.
10
Yeah,
past
yeah,
9,
yeah.
Well, not many people would care.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Some people would take like half an hour off your paycheck, but
well, yeah,
it depends.
that comes to a different problem altogether. So when you were looking at when you were choosing to like study abroad, when you or exchange or however you want to put it, when you were looking to come to the United States, did you get to pick what state you went to, or was it completely random? Because I was gonna say why would you pick Maine? You know what I'm saying? And I don't mean that as a negative, but like as thinking of somebody who's coming to the United States, aren't you gonna want to be in like New York or Boston or like
actually,
if you could go into that, that'd be cool.
I knew a little bit of the United States because my dad was an exchange student back in the days. Back in '78.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he was in Chillicothe, Illinois.
Oh wow. Yep.
A little down from Chicago.
Yep.
Yeah. So he was in a kind of rural area as well. So, But so the exchange programs we have are different one from each other.
Yep.
And so some of them are like you can choose wherever you want to go. Then you have to pay a certain amount of money,
right?
Which is usually a lot. And then, like say you pick New York City or Los Angeles, and then they would find a family that wants to host you for money. That's basically it,
right?
In that area, in that specific area.
Right.
The program I was on was a little different. Was actually the other way around. So I picked the United States because I wanted to experience the United States,
right?
Like the whatever culture, like
whatever we have going on over
whatever,
here.
Yeah, exactly. And then. They had like they asked me a couple questions. Well, actually, more than a couple, like a lot of questions about myself, about what I was doing, what I liked, and my interests, and all that. And then they put it together in a file and sent it to other organizations over in the United States, which like take those files and send them around families, and then families can pick like the person they want to host.
Gotcha.
Depending on the interests and all that.
Right.
And so my host family in Augusta actually picked me.
Oh,
so
wow.
Yeah,
that's cool.
That was the other way around. Basically.
Yeah, that's cool. That's very cool. I didn't know that part, and we've known each other for a minute too.
Yeah.
That's unique though, and I'm sure your dad having an experience in like a very rural spot probably also influenced you a little bit too. or was it?
I wasn't. Because of that, I wasn't really looking to go to a big city.
Right.
I mean, I was okay with a small town.
Yeah. Yep.
I would have I would have liked that anywhere.
Yeah.
In the United States.
Right.
And I'm very happy I came here.
Yeah, I was gonna say you seem to enjoy Maine quite a bit.
Yes, I do. I love the outdoors.
Yep.
I love like where I grew up back in Italy. It's a little town, a little north from Como, and we have a lot of woods around.
You must be up in the mountains too. You must be up in the elevation a little bit.
No, not really.
Nope.
No. We have a vacation house in the Alps
where
I go skiing.
Yep.
So.
I mean the Italian Alps, Swiss Alps, and French Alps. I mean, they're just beautiful. It's unlike anything we have here mountain wise. It's very different.
That is. That
don't
is
get me wrong. We have our own very unique skiing and snow conditions over here. But my mom's actually went over to Mount Blanc. Mm-hmm. And she did the whole like circle that you can do ski through from like all the different peaks. And I have a shirt that says I did the gauntlet or whatever they call it, which was really cool. Actually, she was in Milan when she was. They were there right before COVID in like January.
Oh, really?
2020.
Wow.
They went for. She's part of a ski group, and they go like
that's super
to
cool.
Big Sky out in Montana. They go to. I think they're gonna go to British Columbia at some point.
Cool. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm jealous, but.
Well, if you wanna come ski, just tell me.
I will. I will. Once I know my knee is gonna hold up for skiing. Yeah. By all means. And so, what was the hardest part about going back when you left for the first time and readjusting to life? Or
well, actually, going back had always been part of the whole experience. Mm-hmm. I mean, I knew that it was gonna last for only a year,
right?
Which was a little less than a year, but anyways, like 10 months.
Right, you knew it was a finite period, and eventually it would end.
Exactly. Yeah, I knew it was gonna come to an end, and so I was prepared. I was ready, and so it wasn't that hard. I mean, leaving family, friends, girlfriend,
right? Yeah,
leaving all of you here,
leaving the life you established here,
exactly.
American Riccardo.
Yeah,
I mean, it's tough, right? Yeah, like that goes without saying.
And going back there was of course a little emotionally challenging, mm-hmm. but not that much because I was prepared. The hardest thing, I would say, was going back to school for a year. As I said, I had to take another year of school.
You already done the senior thing. You've already walked the stage.
I was ready to go to college.
Yeah.
I was
I'm sure you were
absolutely ready to go
Well,
to
and especially
college.
when you're talking to all your American friends, and what are they talking about? Their freshman year of college.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So,
but then, I had to go back and do that. And something I noticed was that I had kind of a culture shock, but
mm-hmm.
when I went back,
mm-hmm.
not when I came here.
Right.
Well, I had it when I came here, but it was different.
Yeah.
When I went back, I was like, okay, why are you guys judging me because I'm wearing shorts in the winter?
Right. Yeah, like we do like the things we do here. It's like normal, right? Like some of the
It had become normal to me.
Right.
And so when I was in school, like teachers would tell me that I needed to put pants on instead of shorts because it was November and it was freezing, and I was like, I'm not cold. Well, you should, because that's not decent.
That's not decent. At least you have pants on. Like, it's not like you showed up without pants at school.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Come on. Like,
right.
At least I'm not just wearing boxers here, guys. Like, come on. You want to see undecent? Give me a minute. Like,
and I wasn't even wearing flip-flops. I mean, or my pajamas.
Yeah. No. Right. Yeah. No. Exactly.
Which is something that goes on in American schools. For all the Italians that are listening,
it's true.
They do that.
They do, unfortunately. I just the PJ thing at school throws me for a loop. Like, wouldn't you fall asleep? Like, if you're that comfortable, like, I think there is such a thing as being too cozy. There is.
Well, yeah, probably.
So, speaking of, specific Italian life, you talked about, the culture shock coming back, and like, you picked up some American oddities, but you were talking about being from Milan, and so for folks that don't know, that is in the northern part of the country. So
it is,
and there's quite a big distinction, folks, too, between northern and southern Italians.
Exactly,
it's a big deal. It matters.
That's a very big difference, actually, because we have we have different cultures.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like comparing a Mainer with a person from
like
California
South
or
yeah,
Texas.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know,
Oh yeah.
something like that.
Yep.
So yeah, it's actually pretty different depending on which part of Italy you go to.
Yep.
Like if you go to Sicily, or if you go to Rome, or if you go to Naples or Milan
Or Venice even.
or
yeah,
Venice.
Yeah.
Everywhere people have their different, I don't know, I would say their different approaches to life.
Mm-hmm.
Or something.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like a subculture for their region.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
like
Tuscany, that region has its own. Like Florence, and that region has its own culture.
Each
Genoa,
Italia
and
region
has its
their own subculture.
Yeah,
exactly.
because they've been around so long. If you think about it, and it's crazy, like our old buildings are like 200-300 years old. You guys have buildings in Italy that are thousands of years. You know what I'm saying?
In my high school, we have so in the front of my high school, there are these like 8 columns.
Yeah.
Which were built around, I would say, year 70.
70. Wow.
70. Just
Yeah,
70.
70. Yeah. That's crazy, and just
which is 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Well.
I mean, like I said, you guys were one of the founding point of one of the great empires, of the world, historically speaking. So, I mean, and I was just, to put that in perspective, when we say old, it's not really that old.
Yeah. Well.
Well, yeah, and anyway, so like Sicilians, the southern folks, are quite different from the northern folks, and like on top of that, as we said, there are subcultures, but there is quite a divide between the north and the south.
Oh, there used to be.
Yeah.
Right now, it's not. Well, it's not that strong of a different, like of a fight, I would say. Yeah. Also because the politicians have started to look at different different perspectives.
They've been a little open-minded. Yeah.
And so it's not that much of a deal anymore.
Right.
Back when my grandma was younger, I would say that
a big deal.
That was a big deal.
Yep.
There was a big difference. Well, there's still a big difference.
Right. Well, the reason I say
mindset,
that,
and in people from the north always telling jokes about people
something
from the
with
south.
sheep and yeah. Oh, I hear it too. You have to understand though. My mom's side of the family, they're from Genoa historically. They came over right before good old World War II. They weren't a big fan of Mussolini and fascism, so they kind of got out.
Right.
But in the 1930s, but. This in the northern Italian thing stuck because we're not more olive-skinned Italian. We're much more light-skinned, light-skinned Italian.
Yeah.
So it's
people are still telling jokes about people from Naples. They don't want to work or something like that.
Yeah.
But plus in Milan.
Yep.
Well, if I go to college in Milan,
Mm-hmm.
I live in Como, which is 50 miles from Milan.
Yep.
I would say. And in Milan, there's people from all around the country and actually all around Europe,
right,
and the world.
Yeah, right. It's
in general,
one of the fashion capitals.
So you meet people from all around Italy. So if you grew up with prejudice of any kind, you can just throw it off.
Yep. Yeah, that's awesome. That's unique too, to show that people have grown up a little bit in that aspect.
Exactly.
And so but you're from the northern region. I was more so just trying to get at, you're from the northern region of the country, and and so in comparison, not from the the boot part, but up towards, you're closer to France and Germany than you are Switzerland.
I live Como is 5 miles away from Switzerland.
Okay, so he's
I can cross the border walking, walking.
Yep.
I can start walking
You can.
I leave my house walking,
You can
and I can
walk across an international border from
yeah.
your house. Yeah, that's and that's cool too. You guys have Euro Pass, and before the COVID times, just being able to walk from or take a train rather from country to country and just hop around, and so that's
we have a lot of trains around Europe, so and people actually do use them.
Yeah.
So
right.
Which is something that is not that big in America.
No, it's not.
From Boston, I had to take 2 buses.
Yeah,
to come here.
Yeah, it's not an enjoyable experience. I'm a big fan of high-speed rail. I want to see it. like you could do some high-speed rail from like city to city, but the problem is that once you get to the city, you then have no way of going, like, unless it's like Boston or New York or something. Like if you took the train to Augusta, Maine, you're stuck in downtown. Like,
that's true. Yeah.
Like unless you Uber or get like a taxi or something like that, like you have no way of getting out of the train station, really. That's the downside. But I don't know. There's ways around it, I feel, and I think that
probably
well, that's, I mean, after World War II, Eisenhower, came back after leading the charge in Europe for the Allies and decided, oh, this German Autobahn's a pretty cool idea. Let's build the American interstate highway system, which is awesome. Don't get me wrong, but it's put a lot of our money for infrastructure into roads and cars. It's forced us to have like a lot of automobiles, where I feel like a lot of the I don't know, like it's just a different type of society. Like you guys aren't as automotively driven, like highways and stuff like that. Like you guys do have highways that run through the extent of the country, but like not to the extent of like the U.S. interstate system. I feel like
that's probably because Italy is much smaller.
Yeah, true. Right.
And
it would have to be a whole European. I mean, like your countries are like the states here.
is kind of trying to get there, but it's a long way.
I mean, like even just getting the European Union together and started was took a long time. It took them how many years
that was
after?
Painful.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, exactly. I mean, even today,
took 40 years.
Right. Even today, as we see it, is still not as solidified as some would like it to be. And I mean, literally, really kind of under fire.
Not even
Eastern Europe.
Close to being like the United States.
No, I mean, and well,
which is not too bad.
I was gonna say, you guys might not want to be like kind of do your own thing. Like Europe will always be Europe, and the United States will always be the United States.
Yeah, but
and
sometimes you. At least people like me, I love Europe.
Right.
I love the idea of Europe. Yep. People like me would like it to be more unified, like having rules that apply to each state, or like some kind of federal rules or something.
Yeah, well, that's kind of like the shortcoming, like in Europe, but also internationally, is that like who enforces it, like whose responsibility and who pays for it. That's the biggest, right? Like that, especially now, point, like that's the biggest.
Exactly.
One of the biggest things is like, well, like, and like not even all of your European nations are used. Like Switzerland still kind of does their own independent thing monetarily.
Switzerland is absolutely independent.
They're smack dab in the middle. You know what I'm saying? Like in the England, well, I mean, Brexit's but like prior to Brexit, they didn't use the euro either, and so like. It was there, but it's never, like you said, it's never really been like fully like locked in.
Exactly.
You guys have all the pieces like floating around, but like you need somebody or someone to come along and just like glue it all together. Yeah. Or tape, or put a wing of tape around it.
Yeah. Well, actually, the last time somebody tried to do that, it was 1939, and that didn't end well.
Yeah, that was a little different type. I don't mean by like rolling in and conquering, but no, you're right. Yeah. And then we had to come back after a 20-year hiatus. Like we're just tired of like coming back and fighting wars in Europe. No, I mean, but like it's so cool though. Like out of World War II, speaking on that for a quick second, I mean, like you got a lot of like American culture in Italy, like a lot of Coca-Cola and like all that type. You know what I'm saying? All that type of stuff. I mean, like, and on the trade-off, I mean, we got much more. I mean, like. Americans are fascinated with Italian culture. There's no way like around it between either our cinema or whether it be unfortunately like mob movies and stuff like that. But like at the same time, people are still just fascinated with with the culture, and a lot of us, myself included, can directly say, hey, like we had family that came from there.
Yeah. Also because as we said earlier, we have history that's like
thousands of years old. Yeah. Really, so. and that's impressive that people have been, and I think that goes to show, like, to the testament of people, like, we've almost blown ourselves up a few times over human history, but we're still here.
We're still here.
The Italians are great, and the Greeks, and those people are a great example. They've been banging around this same piece of rock for the couple thousand years, and they haven't killed each other off yet. You guys are still.
They have tried.
They've tried, but
many times.
Right, many times. But they're still. You know what I'm saying? That I guess I don't know. Maybe we're resilient or what? I don't know. Maybe we're like cockroaches that can survive. They can survive like nuclear Armageddon. But
maybe we're still there just because there's too many people too.
We're too stubborn. Yeah, and there's too many of us.
Oh, well.
So being, in this cultural hub of Europe and having all these different countries around you with different languages, how many languages did you grow up speaking, or like what was offered, like to be, like you said, you're close to Switzerland, so it's like German, or like I know they have kind of like in Switzerland too, they have this like weird like half French, half German dialectic.
a quarter, or something like that. Yeah.
And like I said, I know just enough French to get in trouble and not enough German to do anything. So it's a monkey wrench for me.
In Italy, we have like we start learning English in elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
I think now they might do something even from kindergarten.
Oh wow! So it's early. You guys learn English like day one, really.
They try to teach us, but they're not very successful.
Right.
Because the school program is a mess. Like
it's just not good comprehensively.
They're still trying to like put it all together so that it works.
Okay.
But they're trying.
Right. It's and that's, I guess, a good thing in the sense of education. Like education, like you can't get complacent. Like you always need to be evolving your programs, because if not, you're not teaching either the most up to date stuff, or you're not getting a full wrap on the program or whatever. Too.
And like so talking about languages, we have that for English, and then when you go to high school, you can actually choose between different kinds of high school.
Okay.
Like, you can choose if you want to like go to a high school for a trade job, I would say.
Right.
You can choose that.
Or for like engineering, or for like music and arts, or like that type of stuff.
Not really.
Not quite. Not that specialized.
Then we have like major tracks that are like science, the classics, and languages.
Oh, okay. Yep. Gotcha.
Basically.
Yep.
We have many more actually, but these are just the main ones.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And so if you go study languages, which is what my sister did, for example, she studied English, French, German, and I think she took a little bit of Spanish maybe.
Yep.
If you go for like the scientific track, then you just take like 2 years of Latin, and that's it. Well, besides English, everybody studies English.
Right.
Okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a quick sidebar on Latin. How hard is Latin for you guys to learn? Is it any easier, or is it like a slog like it is for us English speakers?
My next point was I went to a high school where I studied the classics, and we did 5 years of Latin and 5 years of ancient Greek, and which are languages that nobody speaks anymore.
Right.
So yep.
So there's that.
Yeah, but it's kind of hard. I mean, it depends on what you are trying to translate. Some things are easier because they're closer to Italian.
Right.
Some other authors used to write in some weird kind of Latin that I don't know who understands that.
Right.
I don't. That's for sure. And yeah, it was kind of hard. I actually took Latin at Coney as well, and that was a fun experience to translate Latin to English.
Yeah,
that was incredible. Because I mean, for me, I was
right. You're used to doing Latin to Italian, right?
Exactly. And I assure you, it's not easy to try to translate a language that you used to translate into one other language.
Right, that you're still learning in part. Right,
exactly. I'm not fluent in Latin at all. Like right now, I probably wouldn't be able to even translate the simplest sentence. But yeah, so that was fun. I enjoyed it a
Latin
lot.
For me, there were a lot of stories about the farmer. A lot of stories about the war and the gate there. Is it Tiberius? Is somebody's gate in like the forum there in Rome? Like right down in the. I can't remember but anyway, regardless, there's it's definitely a tough language. I had friends that took it, but like I said, I never took Latin myself, but I tagged along with the Latin club on their trips though.
Yeah. Well, that's fun. Like that your teachers take you to trips around the world. Yeah,
I mean, that was, like I said, very special. When I was in actually high school, I got to do 3 really cool trips. One being France and Italy for the first time. Then actually right before that I went to not Montreal, to Quebec City. So technically in Canada, technically another country.
Oh well, yeah, I
right,
guess.
yeah. I mean, we have two neighbors, Ricardo. You either go north or you go
Yeah,
south.
right.
That's all you get. But so yeah, no, I went to Quebec City, and then we were over in France and into Paris. Obviously, actually landed in Zurich, then hopped back over to Paris. It was cool flying into Paris because there were all the little nuclear power plants scattered all over the country, and so you see silos. I was like, that's something you don't see in America. Like, Europe is very much more cool with, some parts of Europe.
Some parts. Yeah,
I was going to say, Eastern, to be fair, don't let the Soviets run your nuclear infrastructure and you'll be fine. But Chernobyl wouldn't have happened if they didn't just run it in the first place. But anyway, regardless, the fact of the matter being is that it was different to see that, and that really stuck out to me. It's just like what you see when you fly into Rome, it's just ocean, land, which is really unique too, because Da Vinci Airport comes up on you real quick.
Yeah,
and so anyway, so I went up to Paris and then down to Nice and Cannes. Southern France is beautiful, and then hopped right over into Assisi, and did some of in Florence, and came down.
What time of the year was that?
It was April. It was
that's
beautiful. We got 90-degree, 80-degree weather. It was fantastic. Yeah. Paris was cold. Paris was still in the 40s and 50s and kind of rainy, and but no, when we got into Italy, it was awesome. It was it's this is what April vacation should actually feel like. You know what I'm saying?
Spring break.
yeah, exactly. And then and then we got to go back actually again just to Italy, and we did more specific going to I should know this, and it's just I'm having a mental slip there. It was where the Benedictine monks started. Major battle in World War II. We accidentally shelled the monastery. There weren't actually Nazis there. I can't remember. It's in the middle of the country. I can't remember off the top of my head. But there was that. We went there, and it was very. I love the old monasteries and all the old churches.
Well, we have quite a bit.
You have many of those, but the stuff I really wish we kind of got to see is when you're driving down the highway in Italy, you look off into the mountain, and there's this little mountain town.
Yeah.
And it has a church, and it's probably been there for and a wall, and it's probably been there for 1,000. Those are the types of places I want to. Are a lot of those inhabited, or are those abandoned?
No, most of them are inhabited.
Yep.
Yeah. Only a couple of them are abandoned, but usually they have been abandoned for some reason, like earthquake or bombing at some point.
Yep.
If they haven't been destroyed, they are.
Yeah.
People are living there.
Yep.
For sure.
Oh yeah. Well, actually, it's funny you mentioned the earthquake thing. I forgot about Italy and having earthquakes. You have a lot of earthquakes though.
I wouldn't say a lot, but
bigger ones than the only really people that have earthquakes in the United States, California.
Well, California,
California,
and so, they're pretty big.
Right, exactly.
And but
actually, there's a YouTuber I watch named Shy. He's from do you know him?
Yeah,
he was actually in an Italian village that had been destroyed by an earthquake relatively recently that was getting rebuilt. Yeah. And he went through the whole thing.
Yeah, that was a couple years back.
Yeah, he's really cool. I love watching some of his stuff, getting into places that I know I'll never get into. Well, and if I did, I would be detained by the polizia or whomever, and I don't do well in European prisons. So, but that being said, I just think that, like I said, been a guest in your country a few times, and it's fantastic. I love to.
Did people treat you well?
Oh yeah, they were very nice to me. And especially you get talking with people, and you tell them you have family that left like everybody else who goes over, and they go, oh yeah, okay, nice. So you're removed a few generations. I still have family over there. I'd have to talk with one of my uncles, but yeah, we still have family in Genoa that's still kicking over there. I don't know any of them, obviously, but it's really Carboni, good strong Italian name. But that being said, when you were in school, and so you went to school for the classics, and so where did that does that set you up for what are your when you go to classic school, what is that setting you up for college or where is
college,
that what is that
sets you up for college? Yep. Actually for any kind of college you like, pretty much, because you study the classics, but you still take
right. There's other stuff.
math and all
Of
that.
course.
So,
yeah.
The thing is, you can't really find a job, at least in Italy, after you get out of school where you study the classics, because you don't know anything about working.
Right. Yeah.
So that sets you up just for college, and pretty much, well, for the majority of people.
Right.
So usually people study that, like take that that direction in life if they want to go study like medicine.
Right. So that's like the big decision point for like some of those more specialty things. Like medicine is, while it is in the sciences, it is a specialized, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you want to be a biologist or like whatever. So what did you end up picking for your track?
I ended up picking biomedical engineering, which is, well, looking back, I should have probably gone for like the other high school where they studied sciences.
Yeah, yep.
Of like more scientific stuff.
Yep.
But actually, I was fine
Mhm.
with what I studied. And actually, the year at Coney, I think I took honors pre-calc and then calculus, I think. I don't know. There was a class with Mr. Poulin.
Yeah. Oh,
Hi,
yeah.
Mr.
Wicked
Poulin,
smart
if
guy.
you're listening.
Yep.
You're very nice and a good teacher. I loved you, and I still love you. And so, yeah, it actually helped me a lot because back in Italy, I studied the classics, and math was not such a big thing. I mean,
not as much of a focus, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, we have a heavy focus a lot of time on math and science here.
You do, yeah, and that's
we had such a
helped
short.
me a lot.
We had such a shortage of people in those fields, and like a big thing now, at least here, is I'm sure probably in Europe and in Italy specifically too, is trying to get more like girls or women, I should say, not girls, involved in the field.
Well,
you know, like it's a very male dominated field, obviously, and so they're trying to like, you know,
It's
like
a
they have
big
like programs here, girls in STEM and like stuff like that. So
we have many movements like that in Italy as well, and that's pretty cool. I actually support that a lot, and I support the idea of people should be free to study and to do whatever they want to do.
If you're a smart and qualified person, you should be able to go out and do what you want to apply yourself to.
Exactly. Yeah. And actually, in my in my college, we have there's a club that's called Women in Engineering, which is a club by IEEE, which is like the Society of Engineering worldwide recognized.
Yep.
And they have this Women in Engineering, IEEE Women in Engineering club, I would call it.
Yep.
And sometimes they have like meetings and stuff so that they can help women, like younger women, to like get involved into the
that's
STEM.
Cool. Yeah, that's cool.
In engineering in particular,
right.
but actually in the STEM
world, field in general. Yeah, right. No, that's cool that that's something that's going on over in your neck of the woods too, not just here. I think it's cool that see that, you know, the inclusion of the workforce is universal. It's not just, you know, a problem here. Yeah. And like that's what I think a lot of folks, like especially like gas prices right now and all these other things that are going on, like they feel, and like I'm not just using you as an example, but I'm also using you as an example, buddy. But like, folks on other parts of the planet have the same problems we deal with.
Absolutely.
You know, like it's not a unique.
Exactly.
There's only
a
few
problems.
things that are unique American problems. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes, people getting shot at school.
Yeah, that is a uniquely American.
That's uniquely American.
Yep. No, it is.
Or
unfortunately,
at least it's not Italian
no.
nor European at all.
No. Well, you guys have a very different stance on guns and firearms, and
we do.
That's been a very like, and it comes out of I know why we are the way we are in America. It's because we were ruled under a monarch. They said you can't do these things, and I was just watching this clip. I can't remember what movie it's from, but it's the actor John Goodman and Mark Wahlberg, and he goes, "Hell, America was built on fuck you." It's like that's the basis for everything, and we do really well at it. And I was like, yeah. Yeah, you know what?
Is he wrong, though?
Yeah, you're right. You're not wrong. Yeah, no, it's like America's built on fuck you. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, it kind of is. It is, and I think that's where it comes from. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and again, things have modernized, and I'm a gun owner myself, and I just something has to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And like I know we were talking about this when it's one of the first things we talked about. When I see after not seeing you for 7 years, one of the first. Hey, how about all that gun violence you guys have? It's like you're not wrong though. It's a huge. I mean, and now it's just even more relevant because we've had another recent string of shootings motivated for various different reasons, from either hate and racism to mental health to, and it just goes to show that again, people need help. Yeah. Like a big mental health push, and it's not just like. And I know you guys probably have like the same issue over in your neck of the woods. You can't just throw money at something and expect the problem to fix itself. Like you actually need to like get involved and like actually like put good people in positions to change things. Put
people in position of responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Like you should like find somebody that has like a degree maybe in something and that knows what it's doing, and like give them a team of people to try to solve the problem, and then get people involved.
Right.
Something that happens in the United States a lot, I believe, at least in my experience, I've seen it happening, is people getting involved in their, I don't know, in stuff for their community, for their school, for whatever about their town, maybe.
Yep.
And that's amazing, actually. Well, the fact that like you run, you have like this 5K for
like volunteer organizations and volunteerism and like, or like a 5K for breast cancer, or
exactly,
like a 5K for
that was I was thinking about. Like, I couldn't find the words.
Or like insert event here. Like
those are super nice, and I wish we had some more of that
like
stuff.
Things like that.
But we don't really have the idea of a community built around the town or something. Well, we used to. We don't really get that anymore.
Yeah, and see, like that's a big. There's actually a great book if you ever have the time. It's called Bowling Alone. Like it's specifically like the United States, but I think like you're talking about, it is an international problem in the sense that there used to be like, at least here, like bowling leagues, like, and people used to like come together for like big community, like you'd be part of like the gardening club or like the whatever for the community, and like those things have gone away. And that's basically like it's a whole like
don't let it all go away.
The sociology of it is fantastic, is amazing.
Yeah.
But it's like I said, it's a huge problem. It's like the camaraderie, and like you were talking about earlier, like the groups of friends going out like together.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
exactly.
saying? Like or like playing with the same groups of people for long. Like that's special. That's unique. And like if you don't appreciate that or hold on to that, you'll lose it. Unfortunately.
Exactly. And society will miss out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Most definitely indeed. What do you feel, while we're talking about culture and the differences and similarities, what do you feel like Americans don't understand about Italians? Like what do you feel like there are any misconceptions, or do you feel like, there's anything like
the food.
The food
For sure.
Yeah.
Cuz I've talked to people who have told me, "Oh, I've gone to this restaurant and I've had this Italian food." And I'm like, "What did you eat exactly? What is that? What is that again? Garlic, onion, something." And I'm like, "But I've never heard of that.
We don't eat that.
That must be from some other kind of other part of Italy." And I'm like, "No, I've never heard of it." The name isn't even Italian.
It doesn't exist. Like,
and maybe that's something from like China. And somebody came here and was like, "Oh, you know what? This is Italian." And
you know what it is? It's Olive Garden. It's Olive Garden. Olive Garden.
I've been to Olive
that's
Garden.
who you can blame. Seriously, that's who you can blame.
Must be
the
them.
majority of Americans, the closest real Italian dining experience they get is going to Olive Garden. They get the Tour of Italy pasta, which has like chicken Alfredo, which you guys don't do. Like,
no, exactly.
It's like,
the Alfredo sauce.
It's not a thing. Like,
a couple months back, I was talking with my colleagues about this Alfredo sauce.
Yeah.
And somebody we were having lunch. eating our pasta and pizza. No, I'm just kidding. We're having lunch.
So yeah.
And somebody was like, "What is exactly the Alfredo sauce?" And everybody was like, "Alfredo what?" And then we Googled it. We had to Google it because people are saying that that's an Italian kind of pasta, but it's not. It just has an Italian name to it, but it's just pasta with cheese or something.
Some milk and it's not like, I don't know. I don't think it's anything special. I don't get me wrong. I'll eat chicken Alfredo whenever. Like, I'll eat Alfredo, but it's just not like, it's like I said. There's so many other like really good Italian foods.
Yeah,
like,
if you want to have some good pasta, just come to my house. I'll make you some pasta, make you some carbonara.
Carbonara is my favorite. I mean, it's just so. Actually, funny story about carbonara. I went to Ireland with a couple of my buddies back a few years ago for our Easter break at school, and went to an Italian restaurant in Dublin, and they were like real Italian folks from south of the Boot, like I can't remember where they said exactly. Not from, there's like a town, like one of the towns right across from like Sicily. It's like the closest town to like, I don't know. I don't know. Regardless, they were from Sicily.
Reggio Calabria.
Yeah, that's that's it.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think that sounds familiar. But regardless, they were from like I said, they had come over in the last 10 years, and they had opened this restaurant in Dublin, and blah 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 blah. And I had carbonara, and it was as close to what I had when I was last in Rome that that I could get. And that's, you come back here, and I was in Boston, and I went to an Italian-American restaurant for my birthday, and I get to the bottom of the carbonara, and I'm like, this is just weird. It's almost soking in olive oil at the bottom. I was like, why? Why would you do this to me?
You're not even supposed
why would
to
you
put
do
olive oil
this?
at all.
It's like, why would you do this? Well, because it was like, like when you're eating it, and it's like it has a certain, you're used to a certain consistency, like with the egg sauce, but it was like, it was almost like you could tell like the olive oil was like the pasta was like cooked in olive oil or something like that, because it almost felt like the carbonara didn't fully like adhere to the pasta, to the shells.
Oh, my
I was like, what is going on? What is this? I don't know. Ricardo, I've also been spoiled, I guess, and so like I'm used to like the good things, like when it comes to like that, like with food, like, or like
Lucky
like
you.
yeah, I know. It's hard being this pampered, but
I should just come here and open a real Italian restaurant.
Please,
I'll
back you. I don't have much money, but what little money I do have, I will back you.
I don't care about money. I just want to give out
authentic
some good
dining
food
experience.
And, let people have the time of their lives eating real carbonara.
Yeah. That's it. Changes a person. Yeah,
doesn't it? But well, actually, something else that people don't understand about Italy is that we are not from a different planet. I mean, we're still from Earth.
Right.
And well, actually, I had some weird conversations with people from Coney High School, actually, back when I first came here.
I'm sure.
I remember somebody asking me if we spoke Spanish in Italy, and it was like, have you ever heard of Italian?
Yeah,
Maybe?
I mean, like that whole language. I mean, to be fair, the Spanish ruled Italy for like a couple of years, but
southern Italy.
True. You can blame the papacy.
And then they asked me if Italy was in Spain, and I was like, no, we're in Spain without the S.
Yeah.
But that's about
pain.
it.
Pain. So much pain. My brain, is in pain, all right? Because of your questions.
And then I was like, no. Oh, so Spain is in Italy. I get it. No, that's not it.
You're still striking out. You're getting a little warmer, but also colder again. Like.
And then, like, do you speak Latin at school? Like, in Italy? No, not at all.
Nobody
speak
does.
Italian, and that's about it.
That's about it. And then various regional, like, sub takes on Italian, and that's about it. You know, like
exactly.
that's what you get. No, that's crazy. I mean that, and and unfortunately, one of our, and I'll admit this, one of our biggest problems in rural America, and this is rural America from sea to shining sea, is that the opportunity to see other things is very limited.
Well, that's
either
true.
Like for some people, like Portland is a big trip. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, or like the biggest city they've seen is Boston. So
it's pretty much the same in Italy.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I grew up in this little town, I would call it. It's close to Como, which is kind of a big town, but like 5 miles away. But if you are born and raised in a small town and you've always talked just to your like 5 or 6 friends,
you live in an echo chamber, basically. Though.
Yeah,
you
don't
hear
really
the
know.
same stuff,
You don't really know
yeah.
much about the rest of the world, and
Nope.
like for those people, I know many people who like for them going to Milan is a big deal,
Right?
And they go to Milan every day.
How far
much.
is that?
It's like 40 minutes by train.
Okay.
You,
So yeah, it's like
most
an hour
people-
driving for the
yeah.
United States. You know. Like, yeah.
Most people commute there
Yeah.
for work.
Okay, so it's like driving to Portland, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
I would say that.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
That's not even that. I mean, that's like the same difference there, really.
Exactly.
Like,
Same.
Same. Yeah. Same.
Everywhere you go,
it's just
people
like,
is people.
Yeah,
I mean,
people. Right. Dumb or like lack of perspective is like. And again, you can't always blame them though, because like
absolutely.
opportunity is like I said, we've been lucky enough to travel and be able to go places. I mean, you've been all over Europe, or whatever, and I've been all over.
I was lucky to do that.
Right, and I mean, like I've been lucky to go. Going to Cuba, like you could go to Cuba probably, like tomorrow. Like you know what I'm saying? Like
well,
with your
if I went
passport.
there, I would probably have some trouble coming back to the United States. They would probably stop me at immigration for some reason. But well, but besides that, I could go there tomorrow if I wanted.
But you could just like pick up and book a vacation where I can't.
Yeah.
I have to have like a specialized government approved reason and permission from my embassy and then an acceptance from their embassy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, the Italian passport is actually pretty strong
it
around
is.
the world.
Yeah.
So I'm lucky
it's
because
like a
of
maroon,
that.
Is it a maroon color, the Italian passport, or is
I
it
have
blue?
it with me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's like a
it's
maroon.
like red and whatever.
Very cool.
Bordeaux.
I actually need to get mine renewed. Speaking of, so I can keep traveling.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been 10 years since I got it though, which is crazy.
Well, that's a long time.
Yeah. Well, I got it to go to Italy for the first time.
Right.
And I went, so that was 10. It's crazy to think that was 10 years ago, too.
Yeah. 10 years ago was a long time ago. But when I came here the other day, I felt like I don't know, it was just a month ago or something.
Yeah, right. It hasn't been that. It hasn't been actually like a decade. Yeah.
Last time I had been here was 9 years ago, actually.
Yeah.
It was 2013 when I left.
Yep.
And here I am again, and it doesn't feel different at all.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, like I joked with you when you came in, hey, we got a new couch. Like, not much has changed, and a heat pump. We have a heat pump and a couch, like that's like, those are the two big new additions. Like, other than that, like I said, I've worked 300 different jobs, and I'm going to become a doctor next. Like, welcome to the land of opportunity, buddy. Like, you get a job, you get to change careers. Like, it's fun.
That's something that I was talking about with my host father the other day.
Yeah.
And that's something that we don't really have in Italy.
Do you get into a career and you're in that career for the most part?
Pretty much. And when I realized that here, things are so much different,
so loose in that aspect. Like you can just go from if they think you're qualified and like if you fit the bill, like you can pretty much do any you know what I'm saying,
which is crazy. I mean, and the thing is, I just realized that. I mean, I realized it 3 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
It all came to my mind, and I was like, wow, this is absolutely incredible. This is the land. This is why America is called the land of opportunity, probably.
Yeah.
Because you are allowed to, I don't know how to say that, to like reinvent yourself.
Yeah, and you can just climb the ladder. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, like maybe not as much today because of how taxes and everything work, but like back like in 1930, 40, 50, 60, even like you could come over here with like $5 in your pocket and be like,
hey,
turn out okay. Like seriously, you could. My family did it. They had a very successful, grocery store, fish market, down on the pier down in Booth Bay Harbor, you know, again, all immigrants that, had family that came here and they just kept having more people come over and build up. And same thing with my French ancestors too. They came over in 14, they were right after Columbus came over, basically. Like they're up there running around with the Native Americans and stuff. Like it's crazy, to think of.
And I think that it still is like that. At least a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I was listening to your to the episode when you hosted Coach
Marcio? No.
what's his name?
Lippert?
the athletic director.
Oh, Millett, Coach
yeah,
Millett.
Coach
John
Millett.
Millett. John Millett. Yeah.
Sorry, Coach.
Yeah.
I forgot your name. I promise I remember your face.
Well, I mean, to be fair, you haven't seen Millett in a decade.
Yeah,
it's okay.
yeah,
He'll forgive you.
I'll
tell him you say hi, though.
Yeah. I was listening to that episode, and he said that he had tried to reinvent himself every 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
And that's amazing.
Right.
That's something that you don't really hear that much.
He has the record to prove it too. Like you can look back
Yeah,
over his
exactly.
resume and you can see like boom, 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 teacher, coach, athletic director now.
Teacher for something else, and then coach for 3 different sports.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you have the ability to do something, you should be allowed to do it.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. So that's a very big difference, and that's something that really changed my mind on the United States. I mean, just the other day I was thinking about it, and
it's crazy. And again, like that's a different perspective and just something like you guys just. And I think that goes back even culturally because like in Europe, like you think about old like feudal Europe, you think about the guilds.
Yeah.
Like you had the shoemakers, or if you were a miller, like you made grain, like milled grain, or if you were like a silversmith, that's probably what you and your family did for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And like, so I feel like that's definitely rubbed off. I mean, like just you guys being around, just like, and I mean, you guys being Europeans, like just existing and having like organized society so much longer. I mean, it's just allowed things to prosper in a different way. Because if you think about it, it's like, you guys like the spark of civilization hit, much later. But for us, it just like it had to catch up. You know what I'm saying? So like it burned. Like it was like a forest fire. It like took over, and then like the ash cleared. The dust settled, and like here's America. You know what I'm saying? Here's like it had to be because that's again it goes back to that kind of like F you, I can do what I want. Like you don't want to pay me more money, I'm gonna go start my own business. Like like or whatever. Like I feel like that doesn't quite happen over in Europe as much.
Not
like
really.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's still like business and competition and stuff, but like that real like survivalist, vicious, like capitalist mindset. I think that's very uniquely us.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would say that.
There's a reason like
Absolutely.
that. I'm just not trying to like characterize, but I'm saying there's a reason that like Karl Marx was able to write what Karl Marx did while being living in Europe and being European. I don't feel like socialism could have come about in America. Seriously, I mean, I don't feel like it could have been just because of the timing and where we were developed. Like we were still like fighting like the frontier. You know what I'm saying? Like we were still fighting like scorpions and like cattle and dust storms. And like it was we were still taming
riding
the
your
country.
Horse.
Yeah, we're still like exactly. We're still like trying to figure out slavery and all that, all those things, like all that. We had to like catch up so much quicker. So I guess what I'm trying to get at, and like in terms of like social accessibility and like social ladder jumping, so to speak, like you guys having monarchs for so long, like up until Napoleon came in and they started chopping people's heads off in France. Like if you were rich, you were set. You know what I'm saying? If you were born in any type of aristocratic, like you got the education, you got and well that exactly that's kind of what I'm driving to, and like that like the 20th century Europe and like the world wars and everything changed Europe so much in the fact that it gave the average European more power. Because a lot of democracy, they tried, but more than you had. You know what I'm saying? You weren't so much under the thumb. I mean, and some countries still are, like Russia, and like just because the Tsar is gone doesn't mean there still isn't somebody who's going to kill thousands of you. Yeah. But the point being is that like even like I like looking at like Poland. Poland's a great example. They always wanted to be like once a little bit of like democracy, freedom got into Poland. They haven't let that go, and same thing with the French.
Yeah.
The
and
French are very,
with
and also
Italy,
too,
actually,
like with you guys having, I mean, you guys are a very young country. Like while you've been around for
150 years.
I mean, like we were fighting the Civil War. I'm pretty sure you guys became a country. Like what was it, like 1864 or something
61,
like that. Oh, 61. Okay, that's crazy though. Like we were fighting a civil war. The country's about to tear itself apart. And you guys are just formed like officially as a nation. It's crazy, just like the timing and like how that has affected our society. And our education system and just really everything.
Absolutely, yeah. But right now with globalization and all that, with the ability, with the internet actually, the ability to see what other countries are doing in real time actually should help us develop a little better. I
yes.
mean,
yeah, you hope, right?
yeah. How and then again, how can you tell good and bad? How can you say what's better for your country? What's gonna be worse? I don't know, but we could at least try to adapt, following the example of others.
Yeah, right.
Nowadays we know what others are doing.
Yeah,
Back 100 years, we didn't really know what was going on in overseas. I mean,
not really. I mean, well, like even if you were to talk to somebody over a phone, like the transatlantic telephone line sounded like you were talking through a tin can. So it's like
absolutely.
Yeah.
You didn't really
know. Like again, like the 24-hour news cycle and everything like that. Like it's had such an effect. Like before, where you'd hear like a BBC broadcast, like to know what's going on with like the English speaking whatever. Like now it's like huge dominant part of the news cycle is like what's going on, and like and it's like the news is crazy too, and I'm like how is like media in Italy, like is press pretty free for the most part, or
it is
I mean it's like
sometimes I feel like it has too much freedom.
Same.
And don't get me wrong, I mean, I'm not into monarchy or dictatorship or anything. Or
yeah.
I just mean that sometimes I feel like most of the articles of the news that I read are just there because somebody had to write them. Like somebody needed a job and they started writing about anything, like about the latest influencer that like they had a son. Oh, okay, this YouTuber now has a baby, and let's talk about that for 2,000 years. Why are you even talking about that?
Right. Oh yeah, no, like there was an article, like funny you mentioned that. There was an article today, like I was just scrolling through Facebook. It was on for like Channel 6 or Channel 5, one of the local news stations or something like that. It was like a guy who's on this home improvement show on HGTV was in Bangor. That was the article. So this guy who's on a home improvement show on TV was in Bangor, Maine. That's the article. That's the huge burning story. And like literally all the comments, who cares? Why is this?
Exactly.
Why does this matter? Yeah, it's
exactly,
like It's oh my gosh. Yeah,
that's
let's
what I meant
today.
by saying a little too much freedom, but well,
no, I think it's
actually,
just too much
it's
time
just
on our
a
hands.
little too much.
Yeah.
It's just a little too much. Yeah,
I think if everybody just dialed things back a little bit, we'd be better off.
Yeah.
Just take it down from 10. I mean, myself included. I get amped up just as much as the next person. Take it down from 10, drop it down to an 8 to a 5, and everything will be a little bit better off there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, speaking about better off, better off or worse off, I guess, really, how have things been since the Russian invasion of Ukraine and with COVID? Like, it's been a tough go. Like, I know, like, early on, like, I messaged you really briefly when COVID first, like, when we got locked down, because you guys had already been locked down. And, like, the news made it sound like you were losing thousands of people by the day. And so I was like, all right, I need to message Riccardo and, like, see how things are going. Like, so, like, we'll, I guess, cover COVID first and move on to the more recent stuff.
2020, I think, we started our first lockdown, our first of 2 lockdowns, I believe. But that's the lockdown that everybody is referring to.
Right.
And we were locked down for 2 months, I believe, till May.
Wow.
Yeah. And back then, we weren't allowed to do anything, like anything at all. Like every store was, not every store, but all the stores that were not like
non-essential.
Grocery store,
like
grocery
food
stores or
food, fuel, like
all the non-essential was shut down.
There was no shopping like for clothes.
Absolutely.
There was no
exactly.
Right.
And then every company was like received the suggestion to make people work from home.
Right. Like so all like offices were closed and like that type of stuff.
I was a software developer as a company for a company back then.
Yep.
And we stayed home for 2.5 months maybe.
Yeah.
Till mid-May. Yeah, mid-May we were home since March 8th. And that makes it like a little over 2 months.
Yep.
Just home. Never got out of home.
That's insane.
And back then I used to live in a flat with my parents.
Yeah.
Like we don't own a big house,
Right,
so we were it was the four of us. Well, me, my parents, and my sister, who was back then she was living in Switzerland, working there.
Right.
She was sent back because of COVID, and so we were sharing a room actually, and so it was the four of us. Back together,
just like the good old days, right? Yeah,
and just staying home and pretty much working from home, basically. That was about it,
right? Yeah, I was trying to find a job in the middle of that, which was awful, and I've talked about that numerous times.
Yeah.
But it was just at least but I guess on the plus side though, we could still even though we were locked down, I could hop in my car and go drive, and I could go walk the street.
Right.
If I wanted to walk the streets, I could, as long as I, had a, But even still, they even told people, they were even telling the police don't pull people over for speeding. Don't pull people over to check for inspections. Just
pretty much the same.
Just leave it alone.
Yeah.
Just don't touch it.
Don't
touch it.
Pretty much the same over there.
Yeah, but
but we could. Besides the fact that we couldn't get out, we couldn't do anything.
Yeah, you're literally under house arrest for
pretty
2
much.
months.
Well, yeah.
So again, guys, we didn't have.
We could go out.
Didn't have it that bad.
Exactly. Lucky you.
Well, that's the lucky part about being in Maine, though. We're being in a rural place.
Yeah.
If I was in my buddies that I went to college with in Massachusetts. They couldn't do I'm over here going to the bar and having a restaurant drink and doing whatever, and they're like, you can't go outside yet, or whatever. It's but it was very lucky to be in this state and be where there aren't many people.
Yeah.
But that's crazy though, and I'm glad you guys made it through that. And
we did, and then we had another lockdown in November. I would say November,
cold and flu
2020.
Season. Yep.
When it wasn't as bad.
Mm-hmm.
People were still allowed to go out. I don't really remember. The last 2 years have been crazy, and I'm kind of lost.
That's okay.
I don't really remember the timeline.
It gets a little blurry.
Everything got blurred from a certain point. Because after the first lockdown, I started moving.
Yep.
Because, mom and dad love you.
Yeah, right. No, I get it, but
at some point,
trust me,
I couldn't anymore.
I get it. I get it, buddy. I live at home. I get it. I understand. It's just, but again, things are just so unaffordable at the moment, and I'm sure it's tough.
Exactly.
Back
in Italy as well.
Over there for you too. Like I said, the affordable housing crisis is also an international problem.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty bad over there.
Yeah.
Houses are crazy expensive.
Yeah,
and we're talking about flats. Not houses.
Right, not like houses.
A small flat. 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom, and a kitchen and living room.
Yeah,
and if you're very lucky, kitchen and living room are separate.
Right, not one space. Right.
That in Milan, that would be
what's that
at
about?
least 300,000, I would say.
Wow. And that's 300,000.
And salaries in Italy are not there.
3,000, excuse me. 3,000 euros, though.
300,000.
300,000. Oh, to buy
To buy,
not to rent. Right.
Not
to buy
not
the
to
flat.
rent. Yeah.
Oh, so that's basically buying
And I'm saying at least.
That's like buying a home, like a full home here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Even though our housing.
And that's something else that got me thinking about
our housing market's crazy too, though. Right? No,
Yeah.
the house across, to build these places, it was not case in point, it was not what they're going for. The lady across the street, Mrs. Ames, sold her house. She probably built it back in the day for $200,000 to $300,000. She sold it for almost 4.5, I think, $425. That's insane.
Yeah,
and that's because of COVID and all this stuff internationally and domestically and.
Yeah. It's happening all
insane.
around the world.
It's absolute. It's just insane though. But you just kind of sit there and I can't wait for the bottom to drop off this thing. Everything's gonna be available, or probably not. It'll still suck.
No, probably not.
But then moving forward though, out of the COVID stuff, to the war in Ukraine, how is that? I'm sure you guys get Russian gas.
We are kind of experiencing a shortage of couple things, gas.
Yep. Right.
For example, but we're lucky because it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
I mean, it is a big a big deal because I mean, I'm against the war 100%.
Yep.
I don't really want anybody to die anymore,
right.
and
it's like
I can't really do anything.
Over,
but I'm just saying it just
they're
to put
fighting,
it out.
but there's fighting over dumb stuff that like. It's
like,
old.
hey,
It's old 20th century crap.
I really want that piece of land. It looks cool.
Well,
you can't have it.
Okay,
I'm gonna
shoot
you.
We're a sovereign country. And Well, it's like, has it affected like food production in Europe at all? Because I know like they always talk about like Kansas and Ukraine. They talk about like the similarities. Like Ukraine is your Kansas for Europe. You know what I'm saying? Like in terms of like bread and cereal, all that type of stuff.
They provide a lot of wheat and besides wheat, I don't really know what else.
Probably like barley for beer, maybe, or something like that.
Might be.
Or like those types of oats and stuff like that. Yeah.
And like a couple weeks back, maybe last week, I heard on the news that Russia actually stole wheat from a train that was traveling across the country. Like they stole it. And that was like, what?
Why? Yeah, why?
I mean,
why? Yeah.
Better they better steal the wheat instead of killing people, of
right?
course, but I can live without my pasta,
right?
But still, it doesn't really make sense, and that in that sense, it is kind of affecting us, but we can produce pretty much. Most of what we need.
Yeah, internally. So you guys are pretty all set food production wise.
Well, we import a lot. We import a lot from other countries,
right.
But including Ukraine. But we don't really.
You don't solely rely on Ukraine for a lot of
exactly.
I mean, you can still get grain from the United States and other countries. I mean, I'm sure like I think of other stuff like people forget about like Egypt. Like you can actually grow quite a bit of stuff down in like Egypt and like
I believe
Northern Africa is not super far really. I mean, it's unstable, but I mean, if they figure their stuff out, like not super far, you know, like it's if the world can get its shit together, for lack of a better term, if the world can figure its stuff out, there's a lot to be had.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But still, the fact that we don't really feel it that much, it is also a negative,
right?
Because if we felt it a lot more, maybe we would do a lot more.
Yes.
In a sense, I mean. They've been at war for like what 120 days something
like, I mean, well, like even
over
before this
sure.
really though, be like even goes back to like 2013 14.
Well, they have been fighting.
They've been fighting for a minute, for
quite
exactly.
a bit.
Yeah.
But they like for the first days when the war started, I would say. They were like the media was covering every single piece of what was going on.
Yep.
And at some point, it kind of faded out, and it feels like nobody cares anymore.
It's the old story, right? Yeah.
And that's sad. I mean, because we're not. I don't think many people are realizing that people in Ukraine are dying. Like they are.
There's terrible. I mean,
it could be my brother. If I was born in Ukraine, my brother or myself or my parents or my kids,
exactly,
would be dying right now.
Exactly.
We are so lucky to not be there.
Yep. You know,
we are super
that's why
lucky.
I did a whole episode on the war in Ukraine.
Yeah.
And everything because it matters. It matters so much.
Absolutely.
And that's what like. Again, for the international community, and that's what I was going to ask you too. Is there talk like in Italy for like, hey, like why doesn't like NATO or like why doesn't like some like the EU or like why doesn't somebody like or the United States like why don't they like directly get involved instead of just like sending planes, trains, and automobiles? You know what I mean? Like or sending money, or is that
many people are talking about it? But some, many people are talking about it, which means that many people have different opinions.
Right, of course. I'm just speaking very generally.
It will never come
obviously.
to an end,
right?
Until like somebody actually does something.
Right.
But
you're right.
We will never know if that if whatever they want to do is right or wrong,
right,
until they do it.
Yep.
And so I believe that everybody is just scared to death. To
Yeah.
do
Oh, yeah. I
anything,
mean, but like,
to do anything at all.
and I'm sure for a lot
if a nuclear war broke out, we're
done. That's it.
We would be done.
Punch the card.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless you have
We
like an
wouldn't-
underground vault somewhere. Punch the card. You
the
know.
place you got here is pretty.
Yeah. I don't know. You need to be a couple more 100 feet underground, unfortunately. But no, that is scary. I've thought about that. You know, Putin is very unstable. You know, and I mean, you guys see him a lot more, you know, being connected to him on the continent, you know, and again, being a more, not direct neighbor, but again, I have a whole ocean separating.
Well, actually, you know Berlusconi, right? The old, like, the ex-president of
former,
Italy. Former, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good.
Former.
Former. Yeah, the predecessor to the predecessor.
Well, Berlusconi is, I think, is a good friend with Putin.
With Putin.
Yeah.
Well, he does. He has a pattern of making friends with various world leaders, and most of them not very good. And most of them are corrupt.
He does, doesn't he?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we could go down the rabbit hole on that one. Oh, I know.
Yeah.
So speaking of, that's just curious to see like your perspective, because again, you guys aren't directly involved, but you're a lot closer to the situation than I am.
Yeah, we are.
So,
but still, again,
it's terrible.
We don't really feel it that much anymore.
Right.
Unless you are directly involved, you don't really feel it that much.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's just what I was more curious. And so, like, you know, kind of wrapping things up here, future plans, you have any inkling to, like, maybe move into the United States at any point? I have to ask the question.
Well,
I mean,
yeah. I'm
or
happy
maybe
to
moving
answer
somewhere
this
else
question.
in Europe, or...
I'm very happy to answer these questions. Well, actually, I would be very happy to answer these questions if I had an answer.
Right.
The real answer is I don't know at all.
Right.
Because I actually just started my own business in Italy.
Yeah.
So, I did that because I love Italy, and I would love to like be there and help it develop into a better country,
into a better Italy, you
into
know,
a better
like a
Italy.
brighter Italy, better Italy. Yeah, exactly.
And go towards evolve towards a brighter future,
right?
Maybe. But then again, I feel like in the United States you are kind of more. If you want to change your life, to turn your life around at some point, you are more free to do that. Not free, but
it's easier.
It's easier.
It's more accessible, maybe even.
Exactly. Yeah.
And encouraged, right? I mean, like, I feel like there's almost kind of, you guys have a culture, like, if you've been like I'm just using really basic example. If you've been a stonemason, for like 15 years,
are going
and then
to
you
be a
show up,
stonemason,
right, for the next till you drop or till you retire.
Yeah. And the thing is, I don't really want to get to when I'm 50 or 60 and look back at my life.
Say, wow, I wish I did all these other things.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, that's exactly the point. And I've been talking to my friends over the last few days about this because I'm really wondering if there is actually a better place to live in, and if there is, what is that?
Right.
Is it Milan? Is it Como? Is it some other place in Italy? Is it Augusta, Maine? I don't know. Is it some other place in Europe?
I'd like it to be, right? I mean, like, and that's where I can relate. It's like part of me, I can, you know, Augusta. I want to make Augusta the best little goddamn place I can because I can put my hands on, right? You know, you can put your hands on it. It's accessible rather, and you have a love for it and like a passion because it's home.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
and because you just have such a profound and deep love for it, and you want to see it be the best version of itself.
Right.
But at the same time, that can be very taxing because you may want things to change, and people might not always be on board, or whatever other various economic obstacles, all the things that play into life, all that type of stuff, you know, can kind of come and slap you sometimes. But at the same time, is the grass greener, right? I mean, that's basically the philosophical question we're asking. Is the grass greener on the other side?
I think we'll never know.
I don't know.
But at least we should. I mean, at least I want to try to see if the grass is actually greener.
Right.
And talking about greener grass, like in a more strict sense, if I ever have kids, which I might in the future, I don't really want to see them grow in a small flat in a city that's kind of suffocating. Or I want them to be able to go out, play in the backyard, have a backyard,
right,
have their friends over for, I don't know, for a barbecue or anything.
A birthday party or whatever.
Right. To have their own place. And for myself, to have my own place where I want to have my friends over and to have my barbecues and all that.
Of course.
And I don't know, over the last few years, I felt a little suffocated in Italy by the culture, by the whole idea of you have to like choose a career and
get
stick
in your
to
lane
that
and stay in it. Yep. Yeah.
And then you a year, another year, and more years go by, and then you are 60, and then you are 70, and then you retire, because you don't retire anymore when you're 60.
Right.
And then look back and be like, oh, my back hurts. I probably should have done something for it back in the days, but I couldn't because I had to stick to that job. I couldn't find another job.
A desk job or something that was a little bit more accommodating.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And so I don't know. I don't really know if I.
Right. I mean, that's the big question. I mean, I could say the
I
same thing. You know, it's just like, will you stay in Augusta, Maine forever? I wish I had an answer for that. I'd like to say
will
yes.
you stay if I came back?
Yes, of course. Of course, yeah. I mean, I'd want to be neighbors. I live across the street. But no, but seriously, it's just it's a tough. That is a tough question. I know, like when I wrote it, that would be a tough one because it's just it's home is. It can be a place. It cannot be a place. It can be a state of mind. Whatever it is for people, it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
But that being said, though, it's definitely interesting to see, you know, how we take to places, you know, and how that affects us. And so, you know, you were lucky enough to choose to come here, or chosen to come here, I guess I should say. And
I was lucky enough to be able to get into that program.
Yeah. Everything lined up for a reason, buddy. And we met and. Yeah. Everything has really been the story ever since, you know, as I told it, as you told it, and it's been awesome. And again, to have to say I have a friend literally on the other side of the pond, and you know, to know when I'm in your, like I said, if I'm close, you know, if I'm within a geographical landmass away, I'll let you know, and you know, as you did, vice versa, you know. So, like I said, and I love to just come over and, you know, take a trip over and just, you know, just pal around Italy with you I think that'd be a heck of a time. We'd have a lot of fun. But that being said, Riccardo, thanks so much for coming on, buddy. This has been fantastic.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it was
incredible.
Yeah, it's just
it's my first time on a podcast.
Yeah, so. I mean, but hey, you did great, and so it was just great to see you. You know, it's been a catch up for us, but it's also been you know, a very, very decent piece of content. So thank you so much, buddy, for taking the time. Again, when you come over for a trip, it's hard to pencil everybody in, you know. So that being said, thank you for taking the time, and thank you all for listening this week. Again, another international episode here. This is international episode number 2. Again, Marcio was number 1, but we have our first European guest on, which is pretty awesome. So that being said, guys, thank you so much again for tuning in, and thank you for Riccardo for coming on. We'll be back here in another couple weeks with another brand new episode of the DuView podcast. Keep up to date with us on all of the social medias, the DuView podcast on all the listening platforms, and specifically DuView 207 on Instagram. Check it out. So that being said, guys, have a great couple weeks, and we'll be back at it with a new piece of content here really, really soon.